Should trans women be allowed in cis female sport leagues? This is an issue of contention in the social and political sphere. Two major arguments prevail on this issue. One being that trans women possess biological and physiological attributes that make them inherently more competitive and more aggressive than cis females. The other major argument is that the introduction of hormonal therapies like estrogen can even out the playing field and make such advantageous characteristics negligible. So let's go back to history, okay? Because history tells a whole different story. Historically, as far back as the 1930s, trans athletes were actually prohibited from participating in major sport organizations, major sport competitions, right? Because of that advantage that they had over cis females, particularly prohibited from female-based competitions. Not only did this limit the trans women, not only did it cause a lot of issues for them, but it also caused a lot of issues for intersex individuals and individuals that struggled with fluctuations with their hormones. And what ended up happening, just to summarize, is the IOC, organizations like the IOC, so the International Olympic Committee and other major sporting organizations, they started to implement some changes that ranged from having trans athletes undergo anatomical checks to then having them undergo surgical procedures, hormonal therapy, and also stay below testosterone level of 10 nanomoles per liter. These new changes of having to undergo surgical procedures, hormonal therapy, and stay within a certain level of testosterone, it was well received by the trans athletes because it allowed them to now be able to fully participate in these sports, in these competitions. But these rules and regulations were also very limiting to the intersex athletes and athletes that struggle with a lot of hormonal fluctuations, okay? And my argument for this video is that testosterone alone is too limiting. It's too limiting of a factor to be used to delineate sex characteristics. You see, sex differentiation of the gonads or the reproductive organs occur in the first 2 months of pregnancy, okay? And in the second half of pregnancy, there is sex differentiation of the brain chemistry. So during this time, these changes are resulting in the masculinization and the feminization of the fetus. So my argument is this: yes, lowering the testosterone level to the level that is synonymous with that of a biological female, this is good. It tries to bridge that gap and remove that advantageous layer that trans women do possess, correct? But the thing about it is testosterone can reduce the muscle mass. It does reduce the muscle mass, but it doesn't reduce it to the level of that of a biological female, especially if that athlete is also engaging in physical activity concurrently with hormonal therapy. And even when you look at hemoglobin levels, everybody knows, athletes know that higher hemoglobin levels are associated with better performance, okay? With hormonal therapy like estrogen, hemoglobin levels also reduce. Aerobic effort also reduces. However, that reduces when that testosterone level is to the level of that of a biological female. And studies upon studies have shown that it's very hard to be able to reduce it to that level and maintain it at that level. So, if it's hard to reduce the testosterone level of trans women and maintain it to that of a biological woman, why should we allow trans women in cis female sports? Why? The argument is why. Until studies can show us that these women will be able to perform at the same level as a biological woman, we cannot trust them. We cannot trust them. And studies have shown that it's very difficult. They have to undergo so many surgical procedures and beta blockers in order for them to even participate, to even be at a level for just a short period of time. compared to longer periods of time. And we know that with hemoglobin levels, for it to be at an optimal level, reflective of that of a biological female, it needs to be sustained for extended periods of time. Testosterone level has to be maintained for extended periods of time. And studies have shown us that it's not that it's impossible, it's very hard to maintain it for extended periods of time. So if studies are showing us this, if science is showing us that it's hard for trans women, for the testosterone level of a trans woman to be maintained to be reflective of that of a biological woman, why are we including them in cis female sports? Okay? And we already know that testosterone alone is too limiting of a factor, especially the way that it discriminates against intersex individuals and individuals that struggle with hormonal fluctuations. We saw that with that South African athlete, right? who is a female, they had to go through so many anatomical checks and so many hormonal checks and tests because of what she presented as. She looked masculine, even though she is biological female. And there's so many other athletes who have been forced to withdraw out of sports competitions because of the same thing. So can we have a better way of delineating sex characteristics as opposed to relying solely on testosterone? Let's do that first. Find a better way of delineating between sex characteristics, and then find a better way of ensuring that trans women, the testosterone level of trans women, are similar to that of a biological female. Then we can start a conversation of including them or accepting them into female sports. Until then, this is a non-issue. Okay? Leave the female-led sports to the biological women until we can ensure that, one, there are other markers that we can use to differentiate sex and female characteristics, and two, female or trans women, the testosterone level of trans women can be maintained to that and be reflective of that of biological women. That's all. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys.